Hello and welcome to another whiteboard training video. I'm Isaiah Henkel with Cheeky Scientist. This week's training is on 5 questions you can ask to determine which career path is the right fit for you. As PhDs, we spend most of our time in academia. We don't know what else we can do outside of academia. We don't even know where to start. Me, for example, my last year in academia, I knew that there were jobs outside of academia, but it was a black box. I was working at the bench. I was a life scientist. And I thought, okay, there must be life scientist type jobs in industry where I can work at the bench too, but outside of that, I didn't know any other positions. And a lot of physical scientists, engineers, social scientists, humanities PhDs, mathematics, etc., feel the exact same way. They probably know about industry jobs that are very, very similar to their fields in academia, but they have no idea the breadth of different jobs that are out there, the different career paths. So where do you start? You can start by asking yourself these 5 questions. The first question, do I want to learn about, write about, edit, analyze, and/or patent the latest innovations and/or information related to those innovations? Okay, so do I want to be involved in the data, the information, the words, the writing related to things that are being developed? If that's you, then this first career track might be right for you. Information aggregation and patents. Information aggregation and patents. Now this is a broad career track, and we like to break it down into 3 sub-career tracks. What are those sub-career tracks? Information property, right? IP, medical writing is the second one, medical writing. So these are words if you like to write, right? So information, a different type of information in this case. Data management, so think about data scientists, etc. A lot of PhDs get into this information aggregation career track, and then you just have to decide, okay, do I want to work with intellectual property, IP? Do I want to work with medical writing, which is a large umbrella term for editing, writing? You could do on-label writing, which is where you're actually writing the labels on medication, like the information that's on the back of a Tylenol bottle. Or you could do things like blogs for companies, white papers, etc. It's a very broad term. Data management, lots of different types of data management, data scientists, etc. There's clinical data managers. This is a very, very popular career track for PhDs too, but it all comes down to asking yourself that question. Do you want to deal in information? Do you want to deal in data, the information and data related to innovations? The second question, do I want to communicate product information, build professional relationships, and/or engage in client-facing activities? If you want to work directly with people, build those relationships, maybe teach them and train them on what to do, this second career track might be right for you. Sales and marketing. Now, sales, marketing, sometimes for PhDs gets a bad reputation. We think of those people that, have their little carts and they wheel themselves into your lab and they're trying to sell you antibodies, right? Or people that come in, they're trying to sell you software, etc. Most companies now in pharmaceutical, biotech, health space, really worldwide, are hiring PhDs for anything that they need to sell that's technical at all. And they're hiring them just to have conversations with other PhDs, other medical professionals, other technical people, to build relationships with them, to present to them, to teach. So if you like to teach, this is a great career path for you. Application scientists, application engineers, technical support specialists get paid very, very well, and they're under this career track. Obviously, there's a lot of other positions under this career track too. If you want to get into marketing, product marketing, if you want to help develop the way that things are communicated for a certain product, this is a great career path for you. Marketing communications is under this track as well. Number 3, the third question, do I want to conduct and manage, research, test, analyze, and develop concepts, products, systems, and treatments? It sounds like a lot, but really what it means is, do you want to be an R&D? Okay, and that's the third career track, research and development. Do you want to work at the bench in a wet lab, for example, or do you want to work in a dry lab? Do you want to work in programming, but again, doing the pure research, but also developing? A lot of PhDs have a ton of experience in the R in R&D, right? We do research all the time, depending on your background, especially STEM PhDs. But you have no experience, very likely, if you've been in academia your whole life, in the D in R&D, the development. You have to start learning about this. In this career track, you can work as an R&D scientist, an R&D engineer, but you can also work in quality control, quality assurance. You can work as a project manager, right? Where an R&D scientist, for example, will work on many different products and innovations and try to develop new products. A project manager might work with one product all the way from conception to market. So they're doing a lot more of the development, a lot more on the commercialization side. And I'm going to talk about innovation versus commercialization and why it's an important distinction for the job that's right for you a little bit later. The fourth question, do I want to liaise with medical staff and or be involved in regulation and development of medical drugs, treatments, implants, or devices? Here's the good news. If you have a PhD, you do not need clinical experience to get into medical affairs. You do not need clinical experience to work on clinical trials. You can work as a clinical trial project manager. You can work as a medical science liaison. You can work as a medical affairs associate, as a regulatory affairs associate, all under this fourth track, clinical and medical affairs. This is one of the fastest growing tracks for PhDs. Look at jobs in regulatory affairs, in medical affairs. There's specific jobs in medical affairs that are particularly hot, like medical science liaison, one of the highest paid positions. These are great career tracks for any PhD. You do not need clinical experience. The fifth question, the last question that you want to ask yourself, do I want to analyze and solve modern and classical business problems, understand business numbers, and or influence scientific and or business policy? Sounds like a lot, but really these are the positions like management consulting, right? These are the positions like business analyst. They can also be positions working for the government in policy, scientific ethics. You can be working in finance as a quantitative analyst, as a venture capital analyst. Anything that ends in analyst is a great job for a PhD, and they're hiring PhDs for this role. Just like any job ending in researcher, there's new jobs called user experience researcher. A great job for a PhD. So start expanding your horizons mentally in terms of thinking about the jobs that you can get into. Okay, this fifth career track is under business and policy and can be broken down into three sub-career tracks: financial, strategy, policy, and government. And again, financial, think of quantitative analysts, venture capital analysts, equity analysts. Strategy, you're thinking of management consultants, right? Business analyst, maybe some competitive intelligence. And then finally, policy and government, scientific ethics. You could work for organizations like the NIH, which is considered not in academia and helps with funding, etc. All of these positions you are qualified for. It all starts with asking yourself these 5 questions and determining which career path is right for you. Once you answer these 5 questions to determine which overall track is best for you, you can start breaking down the individual positions in those career tracks by thinking about the different qualifiers for each individual position. For example, if salary is really important to you, which positions have the highest salary? Which positions have a lot of travel? Which positions are in the field versus in-house? Now, you can have an in-house position working at a company's headquarters and travel a lot from there, or you could be remote, like a medical science liaison, like an application scientist. You're working from home most of the time and you're traveling from there. Finally, do you want an innovative or commercial position? Like we talked about, do you want to be really close to the product being innovated, to being developed, as close to conception as possible? Or do you want to be more on the commercialization side, where you're closer to bringing it to market, the manufacturing, like getting it out to people, the support, the selling, the marketing, and so forth. Hopefully this helps you understand all the different career tracks that are available to you and which one might be best for you. Ask yourself these 5 questions and you will be on your way to finding out the best position for you. As always, remember your value as a PhD and start thinking and acting like a successful industry professional.